Hello and welcome to another Applied Analytics 2 and Botania tutorial video. In this video I will show how I built and then explain this setup where I autocraft Botania flasks and vials in the botanical brewery. So I'm doing this in a very similar way as I did the rune autocrafting that I did over here some time ago. So if you've seen that one, you will recognize several parts in this build. But I will go through everything from the beginning to the end, but I won't rebuild it. So we can begin with, well, what do we have? Bed vial mending and flask of mending. So those are the two I will autocraft today, but all recipes work in similar way, I think. Potato, netherwort, glistering melon. These three are what we need together with a vial or a flask to make what we want. But I also have a cobblestone wall in here, and this is used in the recipe as a stopping item. And I will talk about this stopping item a few times, but it's not a part of the recipe, but it is a part of the outcome. So it's not used during the crafting process, but it will end up as a proof of that the cycle has completed. But I will explain this in detail, so don't worry. Oh, and one more thing. It's important that the vial or flask is in the first position. I think this is the first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you need to have the vial first or the flask first. So just so you know when you create the patterns. Because the patterns are up here and they will send all the items into this chest. And then it's important that the vial or flask is in the first slot, because then that will be output before everything else. And this is of importance in this setup. So then we leave the green network, and this import bus takes all items it can, all items, into the blue network and store them in this open crate. This storage bus, however, has equipped it with an inverter card and a cobblestone wall. So the cobblestone part is not allowed to go in here. It will remain in the chest until further until a later step. Then we have the monospreader from this direction. I have sealed everything in glass. This is not required, but I've done this. I had water in there before, so I wanted to make sure that water into a hopper would not get any other parts, because it will mess up the system. So then I'm using a phantom lens on the monospreader, but you can do this in several ways, I'm sure. So when the crafting is complete, the flask will drop on the ground, and down here we have a hopper hook that will pick it up. It's set to pick up any item. As we can see here, let's see, function mode, pick up any items. So there's no filter or anything. Then in this chest, once it's there, the comparator will output a signal strength of 1. So that's why I need a repeater directly after, and send the signals in two ways. One way is here to this import bus in the blue network, the blue very, very small network with one in and one out. It has a redstone card set to activate once per pulse. So it will extract one item from the chest and place it in the interface, and that means that it goes back into the green network. And then at the same time we send the signal up here to another import bus that will import the cobblestone wall. And that's the same thing here, once per pulse. So only one item if you have it to activate on signal, then it might pick up the next round of items as well. So very important to have this once per pulse. And as soon as that has left the chest, then this mode comes into action, because do not push crafting items if inventory contains items. It will mean that for as long as we have a cobblestone wall here, no more items can enter the chest. And once we have extracted that wall, then more items will come into the chest and the cycle will repeat. So we can start this, give us perhaps 10 of those and 10 of those. Then we can see up here, the cobblestone wall is still here, and now it will be replaced with new items. The flask was in the first position, and then all the other items. Down here it's important, because the reason why we need the flask to be first is that if the flask is lost, for example, then the first items will just be on top of the brewery and not go into it. And then the hopper hock will suck those items up and mess up the system. So flask first, and then the rest of the items, then the crafting or the brewing can begin. And then suck up the item. We will have one pulse that will empty the chest and empty this chest. Send both items into this interface and back into the green network. Now, there is a slight problem with using the hopper hock, and that is if I throw any items on the ground out here, then those items will be sucked up into the chest and it will emit the redstone pulse, and it will mess up the crafting step. So you have to probably cancel the crafting and empty the chest and so on. So that's a bit of a negative part. At first I had water and a hopper that went into the interface, and then from the hopper I output with a comparator, and it worked quite fine. But there is one detail that makes it not reliable, and that is when that brewing is finished and the flask or vial will jump out, then sometimes it will land on top of the brewery. We can up here, so it will look, if we go further away, perhaps over here, something like that. And then it will never end up in the water that I had, and the crafting step, yeah, you could see it there. I hope you had time to see it. That wouldn't have landed in the water, and the crafting step would have been ruined. But with the hopper hock, that's not a problem, and as long as there are no other items on the ground, then this will be, well, it will be quite stable. I crafted lots of potions with no problems. Everything you see here, so over 200 in a row, and no problems whatsoever. So, are there anything else to say about this? I don't think this setup needs any more explanation. Remember those things, that blocking mode is important. We have a stopping item as well. The import buses must be once per pulse. Yep, the recipe, I've covered that. And I think that's pretty much it. I think this can be improved slightly, especially with the hopper hock sucking up items from outside. And that's, well, that's not a very good thing. I think there's a way around it. And, well, basically the tutorial has ended now. I think I covered the build, so if you want to build it, you can probably do it. But I will keep talking about another way to do this. So now it's finished, and if I drop an item out here, it will also be sucked up. And if I had anything in here, for example in the middle of a brewing process, then we want this to wait, but that signal would suck out the item and more stuff will come in and they will land on here. But the brewing stand is busy, so all the items will be sucked up and it will be clogged, and well, the auto-crafting would stop and you need to go down here and empty it and so on. So one way to go around that, I don't know if it works, but I will cover it anyway. So if you have any ideas, of course, feel free to give them. Let's start with doing this. Oops. So here we will have a kind of a buffer tank in between. And we can use this to, this is very experimental and I used it for a short while and it seems to be working, but I don't know if I recommend that. If I had other mods in here, I will probably use a vacuum hopper or something like that. But this one should fill up. Let's see if we can make it happen within short. And while that is filling, let me prepare this and explain what I'm doing. So if we do like that, and then we can use a flower called the Daffomill. This will push items. What way is it? No. Okay, so shift right click and that would turn it. Yeah, now it's correct. So the very, very small, vague, windy things, they are going in that direction. So if we try it like this, then and we can actually remove this. So as you can see, items are being pushed. So I tried this first, and that worked quite well. However, sometimes the the items didn't land on the brewery, so they missed it and ended up in the water, and everything was a mess. Yeah, let's try to do this like this. And then I can probably, this is just for show, so like that. And then we'll have water over here. Okay, like that. So this one is filling. I need to probably need to can we do anything like this to so with the monopool being filled by like this, then it's much quicker. So now we can see that the signal strength is almost going over here, and once it's filled up to the top and now it's done. So now we have the maximum, and this should make, let's see if this works. See? No. I'll be right back. Okay, done. So we don't want the items to go out, but we want them, if they land on the brewery, we want to blow them off. But now this is turned off because we have redstone coming all the way over here. And I think that if we now start the crafting, give us 2 of these. Yep. Then this one will start blowing until, because this one isn't full anymore. So the redstone will go only to this block, and that will turn the Daffomill on, so to say. When it has no redstone signal, it will be on, and then it will start with the blowing. So if it ends up on top, it will just be pushed off. So this could work. I tried a little and it seems to be okay. Or you can do a combination of other mods like this, but... So now it should be on. It was blown off directly. Yep, could work. Could need some modifications or improvements, but this could work. Now you can see this is very risky. I need to refill this much faster than I currently am, so it will turn off. Well, you can do this in probably some other way if you run into problems, but I hope I've explained the concept and how you can solve problems if you have them. It's not I usually don't do this kind of tutorial videos. I hope it was okay for you. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.